world has a lot going on right now, but problems with addiction and overdose remain important issues to continue awareness of. In observance of International Overdose Awareness Day, the Brockton and Plymouth Area Prevention Collaboratives will host this year's vigil, streaming live on Monday, August 31st at 7 p.m. Julie invited Representatives Katelyn McSweeney, Kelly Macomber, and Amanda Sandoval to talk about it.
So I'm so pleased to welcome you ladies today. So we have Katelyn, Kelly, and Amanda. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you all. I'm going to start my questions with Amanda, if that's okay. You're coordinating a virtual overdose vigil, which will be happening on August 31st. And can you tell us about how this whole thing came together and how people can actually participate?
Sure. So we are working together as a collaborative. It will be 10 communities across Plymouth County. We have 8 autonomous coalitions that work throughout the county, and due to COVID-19, we decided to all work together to create one vigil as a collaborative this year. So I'd like to just recognize the autonomous coalitions so that we can give them some credit. The Brockton Mayor's Opioid Overdose Prevention Coalition, Bridging Lives, which is Bridgewater and Rainham, Carver Cares, East Bridgewater's Hope, Middleborough Matters, the Plymouth Youth Development Collaborative, Whitman Hanson Will, and Rockland Cares. Did I get all of them?
Wow, that's a lot.
So those are the 8 coalitions that are working within their communities individually, and so each of those coalitions fall under the Brockton Area Prevention Collaborative and the Plymouth Area Prevention Collaborative, and we are one big family. So we're working together to host this year's virtual overdose vigil to raise awareness around overdose on International Overdose Awareness Day, and provide a safe space for families to grieve the loss of their loved ones. So that's
wonderful, and I'm sure during these times it's even more critical that your message gets out there and that help is available. Now, there's a lot of organizations that are working together, and mostly under the collaborative umbrellas. Do you have the same missions? All of your collaboratives, do you have the same missions, or are you slightly different?
I would say that they're pretty much the same. We work to engage, empower, and connect the communities. We provide substance use prevention to all of those communities, which includes education, awareness, policy, advocacy, sort of connecting individuals to resources and understanding addiction as a disease. We work across all the primary, secondary, tertiary prevention to sort of make sure that we reach people from never starting to use drugs in the first place all the way up to how can we save a person's life in the event of overdose.
Wow, right. And every person is slightly different. Every circumstance is slightly different. Is that true?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. I would like to now ask Katelyn, how about what can people expect when they join this vigil, and how will it actually help the families that are impacted by the experience of actually losing someone?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we hope that people will take away a sense of hope, a sense of connectedness, and that no one's alone. So many people are really impacted by substance use, and we do have to come together virtually this year due to COVID-19, but our goal is to really highlight just how widespread addiction is through our communities. And oftentimes substance use can be a really touchy subject, so we want to create a space where it's okay to talk about people's struggles and people battling addiction. So we hope that families feel supported, loved, and know that their loved ones are never forgotten. As we commemorate each year, we do an annual slideshow, memorial slideshow. So we provide resources, we have speakers who talk about, share their stories of losing their loved ones to addiction. And then we also have a component where we come together virtually to light a candle to build a sense of community. So we're doing a virtual candle lighting as well this year, and that will be part of our vigil virtually.
Oh, that's wonderful. Do you have families participate that have lost people? Do you find that that's a powerful motivator for maybe other families that are dealing with someone who has an addiction problem?
Definitely. I mean, family, we have a lot of engagement with families. Amanda works really well with keeping in communication and supporting people. We definitely get a lot of people involved in our coalitions who have been personally impacted and have lost a loved one to addiction. So that is definitely a group that we're here to support and provide resources, as well as Amanda said, people who are maybe more on the prevention side or know someone who's struggling, which I know we will get to that in a little bit as well.
Sure. And how can people get involved that are interested in helping? What are the different types of things that they could do, and how can they get involved?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're pretty active on social media right now to try to stay relevant and keep folks up to date of what we have going on, as we obviously aren't having any in-person events. We can connect via social media. We have Facebook, Instagram. All of the folks here, we have our own handles. The Plymouth Area Substance Abuse Prevention Collaborative is our Facebook. The Brockton Area Prevention Collaborative has their own Facebook and Instagram. And we really are always on there trying to see what the community needs and support them in any way. Right now, we're ramping up a lot of school-based resources to help the schools dealing with the trauma that can come along with the pandemic, and just training parents, teachers, and really even having different children-based resources to help the various age levels cope with the stress and the trauma that's come from COVID-19, as well as, working with revamping our trainings on prevention work, drug education, and awareness.
Excellent. So there's a lot that people could do, and a lot that people really need to be educated about, because if you don't have someone in your life that has battled addiction or close to someone, you might not know a lot of things that you should know, and even signs to look for. So this education, I think, for everyone is beneficial. Thank you. I'd like to ask Kelly, what are some of the ways that we can assist our friends or loved ones who are battling addiction? And this is for people that aren't professionals, that aren't like you, that maybe know exactly what to do.
Yeah, so that's also another great question. Just to point out, I work with these lovely ladies, but I am specifically in Plymouth, Massachusetts. So I work for the Plymouth Public Schools and coordinate one of the coalitions, so Plymouth specifically. And we're super excited to be on board this year for the virtual vigil. And the question is so important, but it's also so multifaceted. So there's really no one size fits all solution for what we're doing or the advice we can give. But we do have some pieces that can help. So we always remind people, first of all, that it's most important to lead with love, and just know that you might get some, defensiveness or resentment at first when you're working with someone. But just continuing to be there and be supportive is super important. And then also just reminding people to make sure you're finding support for yourself too, because we know that this just isn't a individual disease, it's a family disease that impacts friends and families and really everyone around that person. So specifically in Plymouth, you can always reach out to PYDC and we can help lead you to the right resource. There's so many great resources in the Plymouth area. When we're talking about on a larger scale, the Massachusetts Substance Use Helpline, that number is 800-327-5050. So just again, it's 800-327-5050. That number is a statewide helpline that can help someone find the best next step. We also have Interface Referral Services, which is local to Plymouth. It's a free service for people to call in for mental health support. So you'll get a referral specialist that will be able to guide you in the right path to receive mental health treatment. And then we also work closely with Learn to Cope, which is a nonprofit that offers support to parents and family members of people that are struggling, which is a great resource. And recently, we released a training video that you can find on our social media or on our website that really just guides someone along in the process of how to help. So those are some places people can start.
And I think that what you said in the end is really so important, the training video, because there's so much that you would know automatically what to do, what to say, where to send someone, but most people they're at a loss for what do I do now, what do I do next, and people don't want to do the wrong thing. So I think that's wonderful that you have that available, because we just don't know if we're not around this a lot. So final takeaways for this, Amanda, let's go to you, and what would you say to people about why it's really important to take part in this vigil?
So I think there's a lot of reasons why it's important, but I think with addiction comes stigma. People feel ashamed to talk about it, whether it be they themselves are struggling, or like Kelly mentioned, the family feels ashamed. And the more that we talk about this issue, the more people are going to feel comfortable to reach out for help and get the help that they need and essentially save a life. So along with the shame, people don't really feel comfortable outwardly grieving the loss of their loved one if they've lost someone to an overdose. And this space really provides families with a safe, welcoming place to grieve that loved one that they've lost.
Yeah, wonderful. Absolutely. Katelyn, what would you tell people about why it's really important to participate in this vigil?
Yeah, I would also echo Amanda's point in that I think that sense of community and support is so important, especially right now where it can be really hard to feel connected. It can feel really isolating. Like, we want people to feel connected and feel like they have somebody that they can talk to and, know where to get resources, know where to go for help and support. And I think, having this vigil, having this space really does create that sense of community and connectedness that will continue on, throughout that vigil and further, and build those community connections. And that's really what, coalition work is about at the end of the day, building that community, building a sense of trust, building supports. So I think that, to Amanda's point of it really can be stigmatizing and a touchy topic, but once you're there and you really are present, being able to, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to have challenges. We all struggle with things. So just knowing that you're not alone and that there are people who want to support you and help you and really connect on that level, I think is so important.
Absolutely. And Kelly, last words?
Yeah, there's so many things I could say, but I've been lucky enough to attend this vigil for, I think this is my fourth, maybe fifth vigil that I've attended, and being someone that's experienced grief recently and also having people that I love in the slideshow, I think it's an important time. So if you've been to the vigil before, you know that there's a video that plays a slideshow video of people who have lost their lives to overdose. And I just think it's a great reflection period. I think that grief as well as addiction is pretty stigmatized in our society on when you're supposed to feel it or when you're allowed to feel it. And I think that video just gives people that are in attendance, whether they know someone on the screen or not, a solid 30 minutes to kind of sit in solidarity and really just think about, people they've lost and people they've loved. And I just think it's a good experience. So I would encourage anyone to take the time to attend, whether you've loved someone that you've lost or you haven't. I just think it's a great process.
Thank you. Absolutely. And it's a great reminder, too. I know when you see any in memoriams that play often on shows, that sometimes you sit back and you think, wow, there but the grace of God go I. How lucky am I that someone I know isn't there. So you're right. Even if you don't have a connection to anyone that is shown on this, it's so important to realize that has impacted their families, their friends forever. And I love what you've all have said. And again, so this vigil will be on Monday night, August 31st at 7 p.m. Highly recommend that you partake in it and watch it and learn something from it. So ladies, thank you so much, and we'll hope to see you again in the near future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie, Katelyn, Amanda, and Kelly. If you would like to take part in the vigil, visit the Brockton Area Prevention Collaborative YouTube or Facebook page.